Come here, Wheezy. There we go. All right. Give that a few minutes. All right, audio's good. All right, I don't think I see anybody on there yet. Make sure it's working. Okay, I'm seeing comments on here. Can you guys hear me okay? Hey, Ed. Hey, what's up, JP? Okay, cool. Very cool. We're going to give it a few more minutes. Oh, there's Louise. Louise, you want to say hi? It's okay, sweetie. She's a little shy. Come on. No? Okay. Turn the sound down on that. All right. Let me see. I'm using my phone to find the comments because they're not popping up on the desktop here. That's not convenient. Yeah, good to see you guys too. Or at least your avatars. All right. We're going to give it a few more minutes. Let some other people pop in. So in the meantime, if you guys have questions or whatever, feel free to post them up here. There might be a slight delay because I'm checking comments on my phone and it's a little behind. So we'll wait a few more minutes, get started. Oh, see a few more people popped in. Thanks for the thumbs up, whoever that was. Okay. All right, we'll give it another couple minutes. In the meantime, warm up the pen. See if anybody's posted any questions yet. Ooh, where's my camera? We're going to draw a quick Sophie. Turn her around, see if I can draw sideways, semi-upside down. It's a little quick Sharpie sketch. Super fast. super sketchy. Okay. See if there's any more questions. All right, I think we'll start our little workshop here. And like I said, anytime you guys have any other questions or whatever, we're going to do questions at the end. Feel free to post them and we can get those answered. But today we are going to do, as promised, the super easy, quick way to start any story. So just to give you a little background on me, for those of you who don't know me, I know JP and Ed do. I'm a cartoonist and writer. I just live outside of Charlotte in North Carolina. I do the comic strip Dog Eat Doug, and I write and draw children's books. And there's one behind me. That's actually one my son came up with the idea. And what we're going to cover today is actually related to how he came up with that story. So we're going to start in something that doesn't seem at all related to writing. So if anybody out there likes carpentry or is a carpenter, or if you have parents that are carpenters, this will probably give you a good perspective on what it's like to write a story. So I think any of you could probably tell me, if I asked you what a staircase was, you'd be able to tell me what a staircase is. You'd be able to identify one, you'd be able to use one. But if I asked you to build a staircase right now, you could probably go out and get the supplies. You'd go out and you'd buy wood, you'd buy saws, buy nails. You might be able to eventually cut the wood and maybe eventually piece together something that looked like a staircase, because you've seen them your entire life. But it's probably not going to be a very safe staircase, and I doubt you'd want to be walking up and down it. So how does a carpenter do it? Are they just born able to build staircases? No, it's a craft, it's a skill, and they have to learn step by step. So even though you know what a staircase looks like, there's so many little skills in that craft that you have to learn. How to operate the saw, how to measure, how to draw an entire schematic of what the staircase is going to look like, your plans, how to map it all out, and then piece by piece how to build that staircase and put it together. And then even after you're done learning all that and putting up the staircase, you still then have to go back and make adjustments and fix it so that it works properly. And there might be some finishing touches, putting up a railing, putting down some carpeting. And that really is exactly the same as writing a story. There's no secret magic power. People aren't just born able to write a children's book or a novel or a comic. It's a craft, it's a skill, and you can learn it. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to just give you a very simple map. Oh, do we have another question? Hi, Dwight and Rebecca. Good to see you guys. That's Rebecca and Dwight McPherson. So if you guys have ever heard of The Imaginary Voyages of Edgar Allan Poe, which is a great comic, highly encourage you to Google that and check it out for something really awesome to read. So as promised, and I've got my notes here, we're going to walk through this. This is basically the same as if you wanted to be a carpenter and be able to build stairs or eventually houses. We are going to build a story step by step, and this is a very short and simple way to do it. So if you're ever nervous about, oh, I don't know what to write about, or a novel seems so long, how could I ever do all that? This is a very short, easy way to put the whole thing together. And the fun part of this is don't worry about mistakes, you don't worry about spelling, you don't worry about it making sense. In other words, you don't have to think a lot in this stage, which is kind of part of the fun. So if you start getting kind of worried, or I don't like this, you don't have to worry about any of that, okay? We can worry about that later. But we're going to start with, I'm going to do this along here to show you how this will work. So totally random, I don't have anything prepared for this. We're going to start with step 1. And the first thing we need in our story, we can come up with tons of creatures and settings and whatever you want, but you need a character. And that can be anything you want. You can pick your dog, your cat, it could be a chair. It could be, I think in one of the schools I talked to, they came up with a pickle. So it can be absolutely anything. Just right now, you can just pick a character. I like to draw and write at the same time. And that's something you can do too. You don't have to just write or just draw. As you're writing, you can draw your characters, your settings. So we're going to do that right now. I need my character. I'm going to draw something completely random. If you can kind of see him. This looks like some sort of troll. I think so. Okay, and we're going to call him Florp, just for a name. Again, I might not like that name, I might not like this character, but it doesn't. I'm not even thinking about that right now, because we're just going to go through these steps and see what we come up with. So as of right now, I've got a character, but there's no story, there's not much going on. So how do we do that? How do we go from taking this random character Florp and maybe creating a picture book or a comic, or an entire book, 300 pages of story from just one simple doodle? Well, real easy. Before anything else, all we have to do is make Florp want something. That's it. That's all we have to do. He just has to want anything. So if you picked your cat as your character, maybe your cat wants a ball of yarn. Maybe your cat wants food. Anything. So just give them a want. So for Florp for right now, randomly, I'm just going to say he wants a sword. I don't know what kind of sword. I don't know why he wants it. Doesn't matter. All I know is now he wants something. Okay? There's some other things they could want too. So you could it could be an object, like this, in this case it's a sword. It could be an outcome. So they might want to win a soccer game or a baseball game. Or it could be something they dream about. Maybe they want to be an astronaut or an architect or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be an object. In this case, I'm just going to make it something he wants to go out and get. It's going to be an object. Weezy, do you want to come and say hi? She's trying. One of my little... Let's see if we can... No, she's hiding from the camera. Okay. There's 3 dogs and 2 cats running around, so some of them might show up, some of them might not. Now, so we have my character Florp, who looks like an orc or something like that. He wants a sword. The end, right? That's the whole story. Well, that's pretty boring. So now we have to do something else. We also have to make him a little bit interesting. And here's the trick for that. So whatever your character is, whatever you've created, you give them a flaw. So he's not going to be perfect. He's not, got superpowers, so he can just go out and get a sword and beat all the bad guys and the end. That'd be really boring. So he can have any kind of flaw. And that can be a lot of different things. They could be shy. He could be selfish. He could be rude. In this case, I think I'm actually going to make him rude. But the flaw can be so many. It can be simple, like in this case, he's just rude. I don't know why he's rude. We'll probably find that out later in the story, but I'm not worried about why or how. Right now, he's got a flaw. He's just rude, okay? So now, all of a sudden, that took us, maybe 3 minutes, we now have a character. We now know what he wants. In my case, it's a sword, and I also know that he's rude. So I've got a rude orc who wants a sword. Okay. Still not a really good story yet. Now, every good story needs something else. And I'll see if anybody's posting any guesses as to what that is. Don't see any yet. But now, we need a villain. So I'm going to need a bad guy. Again, you can call him an antagonist, a bad guy, villain. We need somebody that opposes the main character. So it can be, again, totally random. In this case, I'm going to put a crab. And we're going to call him Rothero. So a crab. And again, notice I'm not thinking about these things. First thing that pops into my mind, I'm putting it down because I can change this a million times later. For now, first things that pop into my mind, they're also usually the most interesting. Because if I was sitting here struggling thinking about it, I would never have thought of a crab. I would think, I don't understand where that's going to go. I don't know how. I can't make that work. The crab, how does that fit in with an orc? That's the fun of this too, is come up with the most random stuff, because you're going to, as we go along, you're going to see later, you're going to discover things that you could never have even thought of. It's just going to start coming out of like seemingly nowhere. But we'll draw a little quick crab. Super simple crab. Make him look a little angry. Okay. Again, super easy, super quick, and I don't have to like these drawings. They're just really quick just to get these ideas down. Now, one of the interesting things, here's a little hint about bad guys. It seems like it would be easy to create a bad guy. The worse I make him, he's just a terrible person. He's littering. I can just do all these bad things, and that's going to make him a really good bad guy. But ironically, the key to a good bad guy, especially what this crab is here, is that bad guys usually, not all the time, but almost all the time, do not think of themselves as the bad guys. So they see themselves as the hero of their own story. So what they're trying to do, they might think what they're doing is going to help people or help the world. But in their eyes, they're not walking around saying, ooh, I want to be the best bad guy ever. A lot of times they think, so you can look at them as another hero. It's just that maybe what they want to accomplish has some dire circumstances for your hero in the world that your story takes place in. Now also, in this case here, obviously my bad guy is a crab, but your bad guy actually also does not have to be a person or an animal or alive at all. So it could be nature. You could have, a bad guy could be a storm. So your story could be about a baby seal that's trying to sail across the ocean, and then it's battling a huge storm at sea. Oh, here's some of my other... You guys want to say hi? Here's Miss Weeze. Do you want to say hi? Don't give me shy. Thank you. Thank you. Good girl. That's it? Okay. And let's see if Gunnar wants to... Come here, Gunnar. You can come say hi? Come here. Come on. The wires are thrown up. Come here, up. Let me see if I can turn it up. He's getting nervous now too. Why you guys... Really? Totally camera shy. Okay. We'll try to get them on camera eventually. They're off and running. Alright, now. We are on to... Oh, that's what I was saying. So, like I said, the bad guy doesn't have to be the villain. Doesn't have to be, in my case, a crab. It could also be a mountain. Maybe your hero needs to get over a mountain. So that mountain becomes the villain they're going to have to battle through the whole story. And what you can do too, and you don't have to do this point, but some point in the story, you might want to make whatever your villain wants, it could be at odds with your hero. So in my case, they may want the same sword. Or in this case, we won't do that. That's kind of too easy. I'm going to say he wants to be king of the land, not just the ocean. And in my case, it's not because he's bad and just wants to be bad to everybody. He thinks he can do a better job of helping people. If he was in charge of the land, he would be the best. He would make the best king ever. So that's going to be his goal for the story, okay? And again, I don't have to have any answers at this point. I don't even have to like this story or these characters. But so far already I've got a bad guy, Florp, that wants a sword, and we know he's rude. And I've got a crab that wants to be king of the land because he thinks he'd be the best king and do the best job. So that's all I know so far. But then how do we have a story? If Florp just goes out and gets the sword and then uses the sword to beat, what's his name, Rothero, and that's a very quick story. It's not very interesting. So the next step that we're going to do is going to add the entire body of our story. So far we've created a character. They've wanted something, so they had a quest, a goal, something they wanted to do, or maybe a dream, like being an astronaut. And then we gave them a little bit of a flaw. Maybe they were shy, maybe they felt weak, maybe they weren't brave. And then we created our bad guy. And again, with the bad guy, it can be anything you want. It can be, it could even be a chair, it could be a mountain, it could be a storm. It could be a creature that you create all on your own. That's a lot of fun too. And I'll show you a bit of that later on. But now we had to get things happening. So here is the really easy way to basically build your entire story. We're going to put obstacles between our hero and our main character and what they want. Okay? So he wants that sword. So I'm going to start off by putting 3 obstacles between him and the sword. And the rule with the obstacles is they have to get harder as they go along. So I need 3 things that, let's see, and if anybody has any ideas, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll see if I can catch them as we go along here. I think there's a slight delay, so I'll just keep glancing over just to see if anybody's popping up suggestions. So now again, here's where I don't want to slow down and start thinking too much. I want to go really quick. So I need 3 obstacles. The first one I'm just going to put, first thing that comes to mind is a stream. Second one is going to be a wargle. It's just a word I thought of. I have no idea what a wargle is, but it popped into my head, so I wrote it down. We'll have to figure that out. Third one is going to be, ooh, you know what? Let's throw in a dragon. All right, I know. I don't usually write stories with dragons in them. I read a lot of stories with dragons in them, so because I get to have fun with this today, we're just going to put dragon. Okay. Do you guys want to come play on camera? They can come over. All right. So now I've got my 3 obstacles, and I bet you can guess what we have to do with those 3 obstacles. And we don't have to do it now. But my character, Florp, in order to get the sword, my rude Florp is going to have to get across a stream. Maybe it has a really strong current. Maybe there's dangerous fish in there. Maybe it's on fire. Once he does that, he's going to have to defeat a wargle. I'm going to have to figure out what a wargle is. I'm probably going to do a lot of doodling to create one. But I do know it has to be more difficult than getting across a stream. And then after the wargle, he's going to have to defeat a dragon, which I know will be much tougher than whatever a wargle is. Let's just see. Real quick, because like I said, I like to kind of draw concepts while I think this is a wargle. Just to give you an idea. No idea. But later on, that's part of the fun. But for now I've got 3 things. So now I've got Florp wants a sword. I know he's rude. He's got to get across the stream that's on fire with man-eating fish. He's got to defeat this wargle, and then he's got to defeat a dragon. And even then, he doesn't get the sword. Because then, after those 3 obstacles, he has to defeat the bad guy. And in my case, where do we put our bad guy? He's going to have a battle with Rothero. So that's the next step, is the final battle. So if you like video games, you can think of it as the final boss battle. So the final battle. So I know he's going to have to defeat Rothero. And again, I'm just putting these ideas down. I don't have to figure out how he does it now. I don't have to map out the whole scene. Just like in building a staircase, I'm just putting together the framework. I'm just putting together a quick sketch of, I know the first step's going to go here, I know the middle steps will be this high, and I know the final step is going to be up here. That's all I need to know right now. I'm not measuring how tall the risers have to be, how thick the spindles have to. I'm not doing any of that right now. I am just literally putting down these posts. I have my main character, I have my villain, I have 3 obstacles he has to overcome, and I know then he has to battle Rothero at the end. And then obviously later on, what you can do is you can just brainstorm a whole bunch of ideas about how he might do that. Maybe he gets a sword first and uses that to defeat Rothero. Maybe he's able to defeat Rothero, and Rothero realizes he doesn't want to be king anymore. The possibilities are endless, but the nice thing is here, you know you have the structure of your story. And as you build those out, you're going to be able to just see what happens between these 2 characters, okay? And like I said, when I do that brainstorming, I like to doodle along with it, kind of draw it out. Now, after that, we have to have a finale. And this is another thing that you can think about now, and you can write down after the final battle. We're going to have our finale. And here's the cool thing. Oh, someone said maybe a warble could be like a bridge troll, but more menacing. Ooh, that's a good idea. Yeah, see, I like that. Take a traditional bridge troll, but then make them your own. Make them a lot scarier, maybe a bit bigger. That'd be a really good one. And then also maybe the troll is on the other side of the bridge that, what is my main character? Glorp has to get across the stream, so right after the stream he's fighting this bridge troll. Really good idea. Now you can see, just from that one idea, now I'm getting a picture of he's got to get across the stream, and now there's a troll on the other side of the bridge, and we can just go from there. Okay, now, the next part, those noises in the back are my other dog, Luther. Lulu, do you want to say hi? I'm just going to sit there and make noises. Okay. Maybe we'll turn the camera on a bit so you guys can see all these. For whatever reason, they're all camera shy today. Now, again, I don't have answers to all this stuff yet, and it doesn't matter, but I'm all the way down to my finale now. And one of the things I want to think about at the finale is that I want my character to have changed. If my character, Glorp, where's my Glorp? If he's still the same person he was at the beginning, it's not that interesting. If he's still kind of rude, but now he has a sword, it's not a very interesting story. It hasn't changed him. And also, the reason why it would be boring is if he goes through and gets across the fiery stream, defeats our Wurgle, which we know is some sort of troll, and then defeats a dragon, and then has a final battle with Rothero. Doing all of that, going through all of that, he's not going to be the same person that he was at the beginning. So he is going to naturally change. He's going to learn. Maybe along the way he's going to have companions. And in order to work with those companions to get what he wants, he's going to have to learn to not be rude. He's going to have to learn new skills that he didn't have at the beginning of the story. So that's what I'm going to put here. I know at the end of the story he's probably going to be, let's just say, less rude. I don't think he's going to be super friendly. I know he's going to be less rude because he's going to have friends now. So now I know, oh, okay, Now I also know it's somewhere along the lines he's going to meet some people that help him through his story. And then I'll be able to build those out. And then the other thing you can ask too, aside from him being less rude, does he behave differently? If you had a character that started off at the beginning that was shy, maybe at the beginning they're not so shy. I mean, if they went through and did all those things in the dragon and the wargle and beat Rothero, they're not going to be as shy anymore. That's going to change them. Going through those quests is going to make them a different person. So that's something you want to kind of just write down here. Go back to the beginning when you look at what you wrote for your character's flaw, and now think, well, how are they going to be different? What would all these obstacles that I've created, how would that change them? And that way you can put it down on this last paper. And again, you can do all this without having to know how they defeat all those obstacles, how they get through everything. You don't even need to know any of that yet, okay? So then what you'll have at the end, we'll go through our quick little story. Let me see if we have any other. So I have some questions that are popping up here and some that are over here. Hi, Chad. I'll see you just popped up. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Gramps. All right. So in that short span, this is what I came up with. And that wasn't even 20 minutes. So I now have an orc named Florf, a rude orc named Florf that wants a sword, who is eventually going to have to battle a crab named Rothero who wants to be king of the land. But in order to do that, Florf is going to have to defeat a fiery stream, get across a bridge to defeat the wargle, which I now know is some sort of troll, and then beat a dragon. And then he'll have the final battle with Rothero. And after all that, I know he's going to be a little less rude, and I know he's going to have a bunch of friends. So in 20 minutes, I have now outlined an entire story. And if you follow those steps in your notebook, or any time at all, you're going to have a complete outline of whatever. It can be a comic, it could be a picture book, it could be a novel, whatever you want it to be. And that same structure you can use. It can be fiction, it can be nonfiction. You can also use this if you were writing a paper. If you had to write a paper about the Revolutionary War, a historical paper, you could use this to lay out the facts that you've researched into a very interesting paper. Just put them in the right spots and you'll have a really, really well-written essay. So there was a couple little tips at the end too I wanted to put on, because obviously now, at this point, what happens? You've got this outline, and how do all these things come together? The next step is you would write your first draft. And of course, obviously, there's a lot more to that. But I'll give you a few little keys that'll help you. So the number one thing, if you want to improve writing or drawing, is to write a lot, draw a lot, and read a lot. And if you just did those three things, you're going to get better the more you do them. And then obviously on top of that, there's books about writing and books about drawing and lessons you can take. So you can add all that on top. But without all that, if you just wrote a lot, drew a lot, and read an awful lot, you'll guaranteed get better. And the other thing I want to remember that I mentioned at the beginning, the fun part on this stage, and even in the first draft, even when you're now going to flesh all this out and write this, is that it's fun. You don't have to worry about everything working out or it being a good story. You don't even have to like everything in the story. You can just have fun, just writing it, see what happens. And you don't even have to worry about spelling or grammar. You're focused on telling your story, fleshing it out, finding out all these different things. How did your character get through the obstacles? Maybe you want to write a little bit about the backstory about your bad guy. But at that point, even in your first draft, there is no rules, or you don't have to worry about any of that and correcting this and going back and changing that. you just keep going, telling your story till you reach the end, which is another important part, is to finish the story. Even if you don't like it at all, the truth is there's not a single writer that writes a really good first draft. And there's not many that like their first draft. So don't worry about that. Because really the other big secret is that writing, the key to it, writing is rewriting. You can rework it. You can change it. You can completely, I could go back in here and we could change our villain. We could change everything. Because that only took us 20 minutes to come up with an entire outline, so I could take another 20 minutes and write a completely new outline. Or just change the little things in here that I've done before I even start writing a first draft. But that's the important thing. And I'll give you a little, before we get going up, we have another, hey Brian, what's up new kid? And Tina, how you doing? Oh, wait, what's this? I like this comment here. It's not showing up on the screen here, but it's, instead of a battle against each other, they figure out they have to work together for the bigger benefit, like to save a lost puppy or two, and then they defeat things, and in the end, you have new friends and new families for the puppies. Perfect. That's exactly it. See? So we started off thinking they were going to have to fight each other, and you have to defeat the crab, and now, thanks Tina, maybe they don't. Maybe Glorf learns that he didn't really want the sword. He doesn't really want to be a warrior or whatever he wanted the sword for. And Rothero learns that he doesn't want to be king of the world. Maybe he wants to go back to the ocean. There's something better. So this is what happens when you start thinking these things out. There's stuff you never saw coming. And I'll give you an example. So I know maybe this sounds so simple. What? You can outline an entire book in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Or, thinking maybe I don't use that. Maybe I do something super complex and super fancy. I will show you. On a field trip with my son, we got to go to a lighthouse. And let me see if I wrote the title page on here. So right away, I came up with this doodle of, if you can see it there, called The Darkening Shore. So I had a lighthouse and I have this character here, and I just sketched them down, drew them down really, really fast. And I think I wrote, the idea was very simple. A lighthouse keeper fights back against a dark force that has overtaken her lighthouse. So my character is a lighthouse keeper. My villain is a dark force. I don't even know what it was, but that's my villain. And I know the villain has overtaken her lighthouse. So in that one 30-second sentence, I've got the outline of an entire story. And then what I do is I go on and I start to draw the character and other ideas about her. So I'm starting to get an idea here that maybe she's, it's kind of steampunky lighthouse. I think I wrote down here, her name was Lydia Jones. And then you'll see here what I wrote. First question I wrote was, what does she want? So just like we did, this is exactly what I used to come up with the story. So I had to figure out what she wanted. And my initial idea was to restore her father's name. I have no idea why, but I'm going to have to figure that out. And then from there, it's just, that's all I'm doing, is I am just going on and drawing different ideas and scenes and things that I see inside the lighthouse that might help me start to put together the story. So I have to figure out who this dark force is, because I know it's a bad guy, and then there's going to be obstacles in her way. And I don't think I wrote down any of the obstacles yet, but there's another, and then another note there. Obviously now I know she has a dog. So I just keep adding to that. But again, I started with exactly what we just did. What does she want? Who's the bad guy? What are the obstacles in her way? There's going to be a final battle. What is her flaw? And then at the end, how is she changed? So I use the same process, and then I just go through writing and drawing and filling out all those little questions. So to show you that this is actually how I do it. So that's pretty much the shortcut version of how to write a story. Oh, is Rothero a big crab like the one in... Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, he could be a giant crab, I think so. That'd be kind of cool. It'd be fun too, especially if you're going to draw it. Let me see. So do we have any other questions? Let me see if this refresh. I don't see any other ones. But I do like the idea of a giant crab. And my comment section is still a little behind. So if you have questions on the last section, give it a minute to see if it pops up. And hopefully you found this informational, and hopefully it helps. Hopefully you found it fun. And if you do try it out, feel free to send me, or either through Facebook or my website, theconjurers.com. Send me what you come up with. And then if you have any other additional questions or whatever, just drop me an email. So, and thanks to everybody for tuning in and watching. And this will be, I believe, put up on stimolalive.com. If you go there, they have a YouTube channel too. So if you ever want to watch that or see some other videos, there's some more events coming up. Just go to stimolalive.com and you'll see the full schedule. So thanks to everybody. Oh, Luther, do you want to say hi before we go? Luther's over here on his blanket. My little Luther. He's got an autoimmune disorder, so his fur looks a little off. But thanks to everybody. One last check to make sure. You're welcome, Brian. All right. And that's it. Thanks, everybody. And hopefully we'll be doing another one of these again soon. Take care.